Hey, what's up, true believers? Got another episode of Bad Cinema right after this.
What kind of monster are you? The Wolverine.
Hey, well, we're back. Got a lot of crazy shit going on in the world, so I'm glad I can get on YouTube. And I already said shit like before I started, so that good thing I'm not monetized. Who gives a crap? Anyway, we don't know what's going to happen next. We might have an asteroid. If the Death Star showed up tomorrow in our atmosphere, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, at this point, nothing surprises me. All right, so anyway, we won't get into much of that, but like, I don't know. You know what I mean? There's some crazy stuff going on all over the world in our country. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. That's why I have get on here on YouTube, and I like to talk about movies and comic books, And today we got a doozy. We're talking about Plan 9 from Outer Space. I think I'm solo today. Because I think Psychotronic Squirt Gun couldn't be here. I thought Joe might be here, but he might be late. We'll see. I'm gonna message him. We'll message him and see what happens. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna talk about Plan 9 from Outer Space. Movie directed by Ed Wood. He was he was a very quirky individual. I think he was a cross-dresser. And he wanted to be a director so bad. He loved film, but he wasn't very good at directing films. This also has a legendary horror movie hour or show host from the 50s in it. Her name was Vampira. She was like the predecessor. She was she predates Elvira. And so she's in this movie for a little bit. She plays Bella. Also, the late great Bela Lugosi was in this. He's in this movie, but it was the footage was filmed before this movie. He'd had a Bela Lugosi because he kind of struck up with friendship with Bela Lugosi, and he died before this film could be made. He was a morphine addict, and they played brilliantly in the movie by the movie Ed Wood, starring Johnny Depp as Ed Wood, but Bela Lugosi was played by what's his name? I can't remember his name all of a sudden. It was on the tip of my tongue. But but it was an older actor. I can't remember his name. Anyway, yeah, Bela Lugosi was like a morphine addict when he got older, and he fell in hard times. And Ed Wood befriended him because he was a big fan of his from the Universal Monster days as Dracula, and movies like White Zombie. Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. I'm trying to message my friend Joe here. Let's see if anybody. Okay. Okay, let me type it. Hold on, guys. All right. There we go. We can handle it on our own. We have some clips. I can't really. If you look in the chat, everybody, if you want to watch the trailer is pinned to the chat. I really can't play it because I'm not wired into the internet. But I do have some clips preloaded, and we're going to go over the Wikipedia page right now. We'll go some screenshots. Here's some more screenshots. I think this guy that played the big guy is was a former professional wrestler back then. And some of the futuristic costumes, if you will, are really lousy. This movie I think this movie was released in 1957. It did premiere in a theater in, I think, Hollywood somewhere, but that was the end of it. So, also Bela Lugosi's character in the movie, they had to stretch the movie out because they only had so much footage of Bela Lugosi that Ed Wood had shot before he passed away, that they had to have an actor stand in, and every time he was every time they had him on camera, he just covered his face with his cloak like this, so you couldn't see his face. And this movie is just totally ludicrous. Here's a guy crawling out of the grave. Here's some flying saucers. If you look close at the flying saucers, you can almost see the strings hanging down. But this movie was like made on a shoestring budget. And he thought it was going to be the greatest movie of all time. But it turned out not to be. It's like one of the worst movies of all time. But now it's become a cult classic that people actually go to midnight showings of this movie. They have parties and watch this movie, and it's a whole thing. It's actually pretty entertaining if you look at it from a comedic standpoint. Although I'm sure that's not what Ed Wood had in mind when this movie came out. I'm gonna talk about the Wikipedia page right now. We get it to come up, and we'll read it. You read along with me at home, or if you watch this later. But if nobody's watching right now, it's okay. We're just going to go through it. It's harder to stretch out an hour, though, when you're the only one doing it. But we'll work on it. It goes, okay, Plan 9 from Outer Space is a 1957 American independent science fiction horror film produced, written, directed, and edited by Ed Wood. See, you can tell when this is like a project where it's like, it may not be good when you hear this. When it's produced, written, directed, and edited by the same person, chances are this may not be that great a movie. The film was shot in black and white in November of 1956 and had a preview screening on March 15, 1957 at the Carlton Theater in Los Angeles, California, under the title Grave Robbers from Outer Space, retitled Plan 9 from Outer Space. It went into general release on July 1958 in Virginia, Texas, and several other southern states before being sold to television in 1961. The film stars Gregory Walcott, Mona McKenna, Tor Johnson. He was a Swedish professional wrestler and actor. He appeared in many B movies, including some famously directed by Ed Wood. And he was billed as Thor Johnson in professional wrestling. And we got Bela Lugosi, of course, who was in such great films as Dracula. And I think he was in a movie called White Zombie, which the band is named after. We had also Lyle. Other guest stars are Hollywood veterans Lyle Talbot. He was also well known for his role on television for his portrayal of Ozzie Nelson, who said other guest stars are Hollywood veterans Lyle Talbot, who said he never refused an acting job, and former Cowboy star Tom Keene. And Tom Keene was in a lot of westerns and stuff, but a lot of these guys were professionals. They didn't really turn down anything. But the film's storyline concerns extraterrestrials who seek to stop humanity from creating a doomsday weapon that could destroy the entire universe. The aliens implement what they call Plan 9, a scheme to resurrect the Earth's dead by causing chaos. The aliens hope the crisis will force humanity to listen to them. Otherwise, the aliens will have to destroy mankind with armies of the undead. Plan 9 from Outer Space played in television in relative obscurity from 1961 until 1980, when authors Harry Medved and Michael Medved dubbed it the worst film ever made. In their book, The Golden Turkey Awards, Wood and his film were posthumously given 2 Golden Turkey Awards for Worst Director Ever and Worst Film Ever. It has been called the epitome of so bad it's good cinema, and it's gained a large cult following. Now, Ed Wood Jr., I don't know when he passed away. Let's look that up. I'll open it in another tab. I think he probably never sees. Ed Wood was born October 10th, 1924, and he died December 10th, 1978. I wonder what he died of. Let me see what he died of. He did such classic films such as Glenn or Glenda, about a crossdresser, Jailbait, that sounds titillating, Bride of the Monster, The Violent Years, Plan 9 from Outer Space, The Final Curtain, Night of the Ghouls, The Sinister Urge, Orgy of the Dead, Take It Out and Trade, Necromania in 1971, books and he's added some books and novels. So there you go. I didn't really say what he died from. I just wanted to see what he passed away from, but personal life, later years, death. It says that Ed Wood's depression had worsened as he and his wife, Kathy O'Hara, had both succumbed to alcoholism, and they were evicted from their Hollywood apartment on Yucca Street on December 7, 1978, and told probably for two sheriffs had called by the letter for failure to pay their overdue rent. He had to leave all his stuff behind. What did he die from? Oh, he had a heart attack. Okay. All right, so you already went over the plot. We got the cast and the crew. We got some shots here, the crew and the cast in the show. The one thing, it's really over narrated, which is crazy to me. Plan 9 script seems to aim at being an epic film, a genre typically requiring a big budget from a major film studio. That Wood made it with minimal financial resources underscores one of the qualities of his work. His ideas tended to be too expensive to film, yet he tried to film them anyway. As Rob Craig argues, Wood's failed efforts to give the film a peculiar charm. Craig finds that Plan 9 has much in common with both epic theater, grand melodrama on a minuscule budget, and the theater of the absurd. Characters acting as buffoons, nonsense, and verbosity in dialogue, dreamlike and fantasy imagery, hints of allegory and a narrative structure where continuity is consistently undermined. And that's what I would say about this movie, because the guy at the first of it, you have a narrator, and he's saying, oh, these are future events that happen that will affect us all in the near future. And then you come to find out this happened in the future too. So how did this happen? How did this affect the future that we already seen when this happened in the future too? I don't get it. I don't know how it can be in the future and the past at the same time, but there you go. The introduction and its origins of the film opens with an introduction by Wood's friend, Psychic Criswell. He says, "Greetings, my friends. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives." This line appears in the narration for General Motors' Futurama ride and its accompanying film, The New Horizons, which were part of the 1939 New York's World's Fair, years before Criswell's television program. At the time of filming, Criswell was a star of KLAC Channel 13, now KCOP Channel 13. Television series Criswell Predicts. The introduction could be in a...
is the call sign for...
All right. Sorry, I had the AI assistant go off on my phone. The introduction could be an allusion to the opening lines of his show. A Criswell Predicts title card appears at the start of the scene. But since no episode of the television show are known to survive, a comparison of this is impossible. Craig suggests that Criswell's public persona was based on the style of a charismatic preacher, perhaps influenced by early televangelists. He addresses the viewers repeatedly as "my friends," as you'll see in the clips we have coming up, as if attempting to establish a bond between the speaker and the audience. The line likely derives from his show and would not be out of place in a segment where a televangelist addresses his congregation. Another phrase of the introduction, "the future events such as these will affect you in the future," was a signature line of Criswell. He used to repeatedly in his newspaper and magazine columns, and probably repeated on his shows. Another line asserts that the audience is interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable, implying that the film's audience will have a fascination with the paranormal. The narrator claims that we, the filmmakers, are bringing to light a full story of evidence of fateful events based on the survivors' secret testimony. The narration seems to emulate the style of sensational headlines in tabloid newspapers, and the promises the audience access the lurid secrets, as if follow the example of True Confessions and similar scandal magazines from the 1950s. The notion that a film or show could be based on true incidents and testimony would be familiar to a 1950 audience because it was used in contemporary police procedurals such as the show Dragnet. There's a government conspiracy of this, is that though through Jeff's initial conversation with his wife, the film introduces the notion of a government and military conspiracy to cover up information on documented UFO sightings. This notion was clearly influenced by the emergence and increased popularity of a UFO conspiracy theory. But the implications for the public's distrust of the government was typical for a 1950s American film. Anti-statist ideas became more popular in the 60s when the subject became safe for mainstream cinema to explore. In this area, the film was ahead of its time. And the message for the aliens is, the film contains a cautionary message from aliens. The earliest use of this concept was in a film called The Day the Earth Stood Still from 1951. It had since been frequently used in science fiction films. The idea is that, of course, humanity's self-destructive behavior was the real threat, not any external source of danger. The film's iconic flying saucers. Oh, we got some people in here. The film's iconic flying saucers. Yeah, I saw the Mark's Game genre mixer. Yeah, I saw the movie. Yeah, I've seen the docudrama. It's a really cool movie. I thought that Tim Burton did a great job. I thought Johnny Depp did a great job. I know, I'm surprised too that he was given so many chances to make movies, because none of them were a success, really, were they? I mean, if you look back at it, all these movies like maybe had their debut, and that was the end of that. They probably premiered in some seedy theater in the Valley somewhere, or in Los Angeles somewhere. You know, it wasn't at Grauman's Chinese Theater. And so, yeah, I don't know. I guess he kept finding people to help him finance these movies. He probably found backers. And, even back then, it's probably not hard to see some rich guy who's got a couple of million in the bank, or got some money. It's kind of wealthy wants to boost his ego a bit to say, "Oh, I'm producing a movie." You know what I mean? So that's probably how he's able to get a lot of funding through these whales or whatever, these rich backers. It says, okay, the film's iconic. Yeah, the Ed Wood, the movie's pretty good, George. We were talking about that a minute ago. With that Tim Burton, I thought he did great. Tim Burton always has some irreverent and quirky movies, and Ed Wood's like perfect subject for somebody like him to direct a movie about. And so let's get into this. This is the film's iconic flying saucers have been variously identified as paper plates or hubcaps. But according to the documentary Flying Saucers Over Hollywood, the Plan 9 companion from 1991, they were actually a recognizable plastic model kit first used in 1952 by toy manufacturer Paul Lindbergh. The Lindbergh Line Model Kit Company. This was the first science fiction plastic model kit produced. Product 517, roughly matching the era's popular image of the UFOs. The saucer model was disc-shaped with a clear dome on top. Under the kit dome was a little green alien pilot. This pilot figure was not used in the film. Its multiple flying saucers were painted metallic silver, including the domes, and two slightly modified versions of the Lindbergh kit are used in Plan 9's UFO scenes. Some of the footage of Los Angeles is used to ground the otherworldly events in a realistic setting. As a resident, Wood was likely familiar with the shooting locations. The scene where the military fires at the flying saucer is actually military stock footage. Harry Thomas, the film's makeup man, was incensed when Wood refused to follow his suggestions for the aliens. Thomas had created some rubber chin appliances to elongate their faces, as well as cat's eyes, contact lenses that look like cat's eyes, and green wigs to lend them a more unearthly appearance. But Wood told him they did not have enough time for Thomas's suggestions, which led Thomas to withdraw his name from the film's credits. He said, "I was really mad at Wood," he said years later in interviews. The male alien Eros is apparently named after Eros, the Greek god of love. Craig suggests that the female alien's name, Tana, invokes the name of another Greek deity, Thanatos, god of death. The Pentagon office depicted includes a U.S. map with a sign of Addison's Topeka and Santa Fe Railroad. The same map appears in Baghdad After Midnight, also filmed at Quality Studios. It was probably a Quality Studios backdrop prop that was just there. They probably used. And this is also Bela Lugosi's last film. Shortly before Lugosi's death in August of 1956, he had been working with Wood on a handful of half-realized projects variously titled The Vampire's Tomb or The Ghoul Goes West. Some scenes connected to these projects had been shot. They featured Lugosi weeping at a funeral, picking up a rose from a bush in front of Tor Johnson's house in the daytime, walking in and out of Johnson's home side door at nighttime, and a daylight scene on a patch of highway with Lugosi stalking toward the camera and dramatically spreading his Dracula cape before twirling it around himself, then walking back the way he came. According to the documentary Flying Saucers, The Plan 9 Companion, these shots were all improvised. Only the first two had reached any level of completion. When Lugosi died, Wood shelved those projects. Wood first planned to make Lugosi the grandfather of Paula Trent, the film's lead female character, with Vampira being the revived corpse of Paula's grandmother, which explains why Lugosi returns to Paula's house after her death, enters her bedroom, follows her into the cemetery, and winds up skeletonized on her patio. At the beginning of the film, Lugosi picks a rose from a bush in front of the front yard of the house where the Trents live. Tor Johnson's house was Tor Johnson's house, the big guy, in real life. Their patio being in the backyard and the cemetery being next door, but Wood later decided to reduce Lugosi's character's importance, making him unconnected to Paula Trent. Casting. TV personality Vampira, her real name was Maila Nurmi, was second billed below Lugosi in the posters and advertising. She recalled that Paul Marco had paid her $200 to act as Vampira in the film. She recalled insisting that her part be silent, as she did not like the dialogue Wood had written for her. This recollection might interact. Let's see, I want to see if she passed away. When she passed away. Yeah, she probably passed away a while ago, though. All the people in this movie are dead. It's really weird when you're watching a movie and you realize you're watching this old movie. You're like, all the people that made this movie are dead. I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. She gave the film a regal presence and a theatrical mannerisms. Her performance is reminiscent of a silent film actress. She credited Theda Bara as her main influence. So that's interesting. Okay, Plan 9 was shot in November 1956 under the shooting name Grave Robbers from Outer Space and premiered on March 15, 1957 at the Carlton Theater in Los Angeles. The original shooting title is mentioned at the end of Criswell's opening narration when he asked the audience, Can your heart stand the shocking facts about grave robbers from outer space? It is thought that Wood changed the title because he did not want his backers to know that the film was being distributed in the South. By 1958, the film's backers had given up all hope of seeing a return on their investment. The new title was less indicative of the film's content and may have contributed to its distribution problems. Wood couldn't find a distributor until early 1958. The reception of this film, Distributors Corporation of America, or DCA, was a subsidiary of the Walter Reed Organization. Yeah, I like that too because he a guy, he couldn't afford a big budget, but he had a big budget mind, right? He had this big epic blockbuster in mind, but he just didn't have the budget. So it's kind of cool how he improvised, really. I mean, this guy was like a DIY punk rock before DIY punk rock, right? He's just like, I'm just going to go out there and fucking do it. Kind of like another director, if you remember the movie Faster Pussycat Kill, Kill, Kill. That director, what's his name? I can't remember his name all of a sudden. It eludes me. But you know what I'm saying. Russ Meyer. It's like a Russ Meyer film. He got it in his head to make this great movie, and he just works with what he has, right? DCA released Plan 9 from Outer Space nationally in July of 1958. And this time, the film served its purpose as a suitable offering for juvenile audiences at theaters and drive-ins. The trade paper, the exhibitor didn't consider it bad at all, calling it an okay science fiction program. In many situations, it did very respectable business in theaters in Minneapolis, Plan 9 played at the RKO Pantages as a companion to the Alan Freed musical Go Johnny Go, and Variety noted that the show intended for kids and teenagers earned a tall $6,500 for a week. For comparison, in the same city, the Frank Sinatra Frank Capra film, A Hole in the Hood, earned $6,000, and the then Alfred Hitchcock thriller North by Northwest had earned $7,000. So Plan 9 was just as successful as those major productions in those markets. Plan 9 sometimes screened as part of a double feature in Chicago. It was first seen alongside another DCA release, the British thriller Time Lock, a film mostly. Yeah, it got national. Can you believe it? I didn't think it did get national distribution. The British thriller Time Lock, a film mostly remembered as an early credit for Sean Connery. It was later used as a companion feature for double feature screenings of The Trap, a film noir film starring Richard Widmark in Texas. It was seen alongside Devil Girl from Mars, and reissued British science fiction film. Plan 9 premiered in many cities during 1959 through DCA and was still playing in 1960 through DCA's successor, Valiant Pictures. Well, back then, I think the model was different. You had these different distributors, and they could get you into smaller markets. So I think that's probably what happened. In 1961, the picture was sold to television and was shown on Chiller Theater and similar venues for years. And then it talks about its accidental notoriety. Plan 9 from Outer Space gained notoriety through Medved's book because its multiple continuity problems and apparently ridiculous inclusion of props not meant to be seen. This technical fault was entirely accidental and not the fault of director Wood. Plan 9 was photographed in 1:85:1 widescreen ratio, which by 1959 had become the common theatrical format alongside Cinescope. Wood composed his shots so that the performers were always within the widescreen frame, but anything outside the frame, random props, boom microphones, edges of sets, would be cropped off the screen in projection. However, when the film was first shown on television and later home video, the 1:33:1 full frame image revealed all the stray matter at the top and the bottom of the frame that took pains to hide. This gave viewers the false impression that Wood was hilariously inept in framing his shots. During his first aircraft cockpit scene, the first officer is reading from a script in his lap, and a flash of light from a flying saucer reveals the boom microphone shadow. The microphone and script were not visible in the original theatrical release, which cropped off anything outside the widescreen frame. These mistakes are noticeable only in Plan 9 full-frame film prints and TV releases and video transfers. Another problem arose when Wood incorporated stock footage in full-frame 1:33:1, including his own footage of Lugosi, which became overly cropped when shown in widescreen. Turner Classic Movies has since presented a high-definition transfer of the film in the original 1:85:1 ratio. This stock footage was shot in versions that had been slightly adjusted to better fit the frame. It says years later, Lyle Talbot defended Ed Wood in later years. Ed says Eddie was serious about his movie. He wanted to keep making them, and he wanted to improve. And that's why I don't think you can ridicule the poor little guy. Lead actor Gregory Wilcott, who admired Ed Wood's tenacity in his projects, still had some bad opinions of Plan 9 years later. He said Ed had poor taste and was undisciplined. If he had $10 million, Plan 9 would still have been a piece of tasteless shit. Yeah, I liked Ed Wood, but I would discern no genius there. His main concern was making his next film. It looked like they shot the thing in a kitchen. Worst film of all time. 30 years later, it's come back to haunt me. Vampira years later recalled, I didn't have a decent costume for Plan 9. What I wore was old, worn out. It looks like I had a hole in the crotch of the dress, if you notice. But I thought, oh, well, nobody's ever going to see this movie, so it doesn't matter. Well, little did she know. Okay, it says that in 1992, Plan 9 from Outer Space was a documentary called Flying Saucer of Hollywood, the Plan 9 Companion, which is included on Image Entertainment's DVD edition of Plan 9. The documentary visits several locations related to the film, including the building with Wood's former office at 4477 Hollywood Boulevard. It was what was left of the small soundstage used for the film's interiors, which is down an alley, a small alley next to the Harvey Apartments at 5640 Santa Monica Boulevard. That same year, Rudolph Gray's book, Nightmare of Ecstasy, The Life and Art of Edward D. Wood Jr., was published and contained anecdotes about the making of the film. Gray notes that the participants in the original events sometimes contradict one another, but he relates each person recollects it for posterity. In 2006, the documentary Vampira, the movie by Kevin Sean Michaels, chronicled Nurmi's work with Wood and her role in her television's first horror host. Remakes. This is filmer Ernie Fossilis of Hardware Wars Films created a 2009 short film, Plan 9.1 from Outer Space, which features hand-carved wooden puppets of the characters from the film. The puppets act out the scenes along with the original film's edited soundtrack. As of September 2009, there was an additional proposed remake called Grave Robbers from Outer Space, which was written and directed by Christopher Carr for Drunken Fish Films. Another remake was released by Darkstone Entertainment, written and directed by John Johnson. The teaser trailer was released on the film's website on September 2009. And there's also, of course, the biography movie by Ed Wood. In 1994, Ed Wood is an Oscar-winning American comedy drama biopic produced and directed by Tim Burton and starring Johnny Depp. It depicts Wood's creation as Plan 9 from Outer Space. The film was released to critical acclaim, but was a box office bomb, making only $5.9 million on an $18 million budget. It won 2 Academy Awards, Best Supporting Actor for Martin Landau, who played Bela. That's who it was. Martin Landau played Bela Lugosi. You know what? I don't know, but we'll have to go back and look at that, Mark. If it was in Rocky Horror Picture Show, because it seems like it would be a perfect companion film to that movie. But anyway, so the movie about Ed Wood was won some Oscars, but it was didn't make a lot at the box office. But I love that movie. I don't know why it didn't, because I think it's just a great, quirky little movie about a guy that was a legendary bad director who, you can say what you want about Edward Wood Jr., but at least he had passion for making movies. And he was not going to let anything get in his way of making that movie. You know what I mean? So I can respect that, because at least he tried. I've heard a lot of people say, I got a great idea for a movie, but they never follow through with it, right? How many people can say they actually made a film, an actual Hollywood film? Not many people. Honestly, if you think about it. We got some clips here we can play. So I just have a few here. It's just, there's a lot of inept bad acting, like the guy, the psychic guy, whatever, the first of it. And the constant narration throughout the film is just freaking wild to me. If you have to have that much narration in a film, the script must not be that great, or you're afraid you can't push the plot. There's several continuity errors. They're supposed to be shooting daytime for nighttime and nighttime for daytime. It's just it seemed like whenever they could find a place, they probably didn't even have any filming permits. I don't even know if in the 50s if you had to have filming permits, but I assume you had to. But yeah, we'll play here's the video intro.
And remember, my friend,
all right, we'll play it from the top here.
Perhaps on your way home, someone will pass you in the dark, and you will never know it, for they will be from outer space.
Where they will be from outer space. I love the way it got talks. Yeah, he was too niche to probably appeal to the masses, but as a quirky filmmaker, we have a lot of quirky filmmakers. Remember, like I was saying about Russ Meyer. Another guy you could say that about is John Waters. They didn't make films for the masses, but they made an entertaining damn film. You know what I mean? If you watch a John Waters film, I guarantee you at the end of it, you will be entertained and maybe a little bit disturbed. Here's another clip we'll set up. I think this is the aliens talking.
Send the big one for the girl and the policeman. I'll turn on.
Send the big one for the girl and the policeman. You know, you're probably right. I mean, he might have got, I mean, he probably was, Romero might have been influenced by this film. And we got some more clips here of the aliens, and they're like trying to teach us a lesson by bringing back the dead.
It's because of men like you that all must be destroyed. Headstrong.
It's because of men like you, all must be destroyed. And there's just so many great clips of this film. It's hilarious. I mean, I think it's kind of funny. It's a quirky film. Is it a perfect film? No, but it's.
What do you make of that?
She got me. Didn't look that way a minute ago.
What about your man?
Oh, you know, I'll bet my badge right now. We haven't seen the last of those weirdies.
Yeah, I bet my badge. We ain't seen the last of those weirdies. And I don't know. There's a lot of like, I don't know. So and like the costumes they're wearing, like the head alien dude is like their leader. He's got like looks like he's got a medieval like tunic on, like with a battle axe on it, like he's from medieval times or something.
Shall we talk now or wait? Your friends will be here shortly.
What friends?
Those you left at the vehicle.
We got some more like footage of like the intro.
And remember, my friend, future events such as these will affect you in the future. You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here. And now for the...
Oh, yeah. I mean, the narrating is kind of bad. I mean, let's be honest, though. I mean...
All of us on this earth know that there is a time to live and
to die. And that's like one of the scenes we shot of Bela Lugosi for a previous film that was never made because Bela Lugosi died. You know, and Bela Lugosi is one of those legendary Hollywood actors. He was in such, I mean, he's such a legend in the horror film community, you know. And he felt a lot of hard times, though. He was like a drug addict. So, I mean, but you know, I've had my trouble with that stuff, so I'm not making fun of him for that because it's, you know, it's people get in that situation. But he's still a legend. Yeah, Kirby, I do too. I feel like it's just one of the movies you want to rewatch sometimes. Just to, you know, I'm glad I picked it because I don't know, it's just kind of fun. It's kind of a fun movie. Let's just be honest. Here's another clip we got.
What in the world?
That's nothing from this world.
Burbank Tower to American flight.
And like here's that they're going back to the old man's funeral. Yeah, it's kind of like, the introductory opening of Frankenstein. Yeah, I guess it could be like that.
at the funeral of the old man, unknown to his mourners, his dead wife was watching.
First his wife, then...
And there you get a shot of Vampira. And here's Tor Johnson. I just feel like maybe they overused the narration a little bit, but, you know, whatever floats your boat.
Yes. Bring the giant here that I may get a better look at him.
I like when he's like, bring the giant here so I can get a better look at him. I like the way he does his hand gesture, like, I better look at him. Yeah, I got to play that again. Hold on.
Yes. Bring the giant here that I may get a better look at him.
Get a better look at him. Oh, no, it's kind of funny. Yeah, old man did good, did he? Vampira for his wife. I mean, thumbs up, brother. It's good work if you can get it, right?
One thing sure. Inspector Clay's dead. Murdered. And somebody's responsible.
That's what I meant by some of the dialogue. Like, he was been murdered and somebody's responsible. Well, if somebody's been murdered, of course somebody's responsible for it. That makes no sense to me. But, you know, whatever.
Yes.
We got another clip here.
We do not want to conquer your planet, only save it. We could have destroyed it long ago if that had been our aim. Our principal purpose is friendly.
We pick up these transmissions of these aliens, and they're warning us that, like, look, you keep creating all these weapons. We're afraid you're going to destroy the universe, so we're going to intervene and warn you. And if we have to wipe you all out, we will. And then we got another one of the. This is the colonel.
Then wonder. Flying saucers, Captain, are still a rumor. Officially.
Officially. You know what? They were already having the UFO conspiracy at that time period. You got to think that was it 11 or 10 years before this was the Roswell incident. So I'm sure that maybe Ed Wood maybe had heard about that. Although really the Roswell thing didn't get popularized, I think, until the early 70s when somebody wrote a book about it. But that's just what I think it was the 70s. But I think people were aware of it. And here's another clip. I think this is with the police again.
Strange. If someone had broken in, the dirt should be piled up here somewhere. It looks like it's fallen into the grave.
Larry, you'll be out of that uniform before you know it.
Do we have the right to look?
You'll be out of uniform before you know it. Yeah, like Spengali. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, Spengali. I remember him. He's got a show now on, is it Me TV or something? And I saw him on, I don't know if you know the comedian Dana Gould, and he dresses up like Dr. Zaius from Planet of the Apes and interviews people. He had it's like a late night Johnny Carson show from the 60s and 70s. It's called Hanging with Dr. Z, and he had Spengali on there. So that's a great YouTube channel. If you can look up Dr. Z, just type in Hanging with Dr. Z, and you'll find the YouTube channel. It's hilarious. Imagine if Dr. Zaius from Planet of the Apes had his own talk show like Johnny Carson, and that's what you get. It's really great. It's just top notch. And here's another clip.
What about the blinding light? Well, haven't you heard? And many times the saucer hasn't had a glow. Or a light of any kind, for that matter.
That proves it. What next, Lieutenant?
We got some more clips of the aliens. Yeah, he's been in comic books, and like I don't know if anybody else. Another show that this movie used to show up on, if you remember, it was Monster Vision on TNT with Joe Bob Briggs. So Joe Bob was always into these like kind of movies, and also this is one of those movies that Mystery Science Theater was born for, right? Was made for. Basically, this is just a match made in heaven for something like Riff Tracks or Mystery Science Theater. So, yeah.
It's an interesting thing when you consider the Earth people who can think are so frightened by those who cannot, the dead.
And like you got these half-spun, like, philosophical things that are kind of weird. Then we got another one. They're talking to Eros about, this is the guy, he's like, we got another plan.
Eros, the Earth people are getting closer to that which we fear. Since they will not listen or respect our existence, they cannot help but believe our powers when they see their own dead walking round again, brought up.
If you wanted to show off your power as an alien, though, do you think you could do a little better than bringing back the dead? Like, why don't you just have flying saucers hover over every major city in the United States and throughout the world, right? And then everybody will freak out and they'll know you got more power than they do. I mean, if you got a flying saucer, but that's just my opinion. What do I know? I'm not a director, so I guess I shouldn't criticize it too much. Here's another clip where they're the man and woman alien are talking to each other about what do you think?
What do you think will be the next obstacle the Earth people will put in our way?
Well, as long as they can think, we'll have our problems. But those whom we're using cannot think.
And I don't know what happened to the other 8 plans. Plan 9 from outer space. Well, they had to have 8 other plans. It's kind of like that movie by the dreaded Bill Cosby. His name's almost like Baltimore. You don't feel like saying it. He shall not be named. but like Bill Cosby, I feel like lightning's going to strike when I say that name. Leonard Part 6, like whatever happened to the other 5 parts.
Like that. Hey, Edie, how about you and me balling it up in Albuquerque?
Albuquerque? Have you read that flight schedule, boy?
What about it?
We land in Albuquerque at 4 a.m. That's strictly a 9 o'clock town.
Well, I...
If it wasn't for the farmhouse scenes and Night of the Living Dead, it could have had Plan 9 status. Plan 9 had a better cemetery scene. Yeah, well, I mean, an argument could be made for that. Sorry, I'm not putting it on the screen.
The plan is far from successful, and you.
The plan is far from. Yes, I mean, you only resurrected 5 dead people. Did you think that was going to freak out the entire world? I mean, what's going on, bro? Yeah, it might have been like the dead rising again, like in the Bible. It might have been where he took it from. And but like, I mean, if you want to freak her out, all the dead rise up from the grave. That would really freak some people out, right? And we got another. I think this might be. Might be a clip of the UFOs? I hope.
We gotta hand it to them, though. They're far ahead of us.
To death, they're like, well, we gotta hand it to them though. They're far. Well, maybe they're not that far advanced if you were able to kill them that quick, you know. But anyway, we got another scene. This is the last snippet of Lugosi footage. So this is like the last footage that he ever shot of Bela Lugosi before he passed away. I'm just kidding. It was just that was probably just a fake skeleton. That was a little joke. I don't know if it was a bad joke, but whatever. I hope he didn't dig his body to do that. It has a certain charm to it, doesn't it? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it. I mean, I love stuff like, I live for stuff like this. Why? This movie was what my show Bad Cinema was created for. It's just like something that's considered bad, but it's kind of entertaining.
That's the end of that one. Atmospheric conditions in outer space often interfere with transmitting.
How many of these recordings?
No, I haven't seen that, Kirby. I need to watch that. We were talking about there's been like several remakes of this film. There's one where it's like Planet 9.1, and it's done completely with puppets. Now here's where like the police officers get ready. This poor police officer gets attacked by like 3 different dead people in this movie.
You see anything out there, Kelton?
Too dark, Lieutenant. But something started stinking awful bad.
Something started sticking awful bad. It was this movie. I'm just kidding. I give this movie a hard time, but I like it.
This gives me a plan. Put the big one away.
Pick up your electrode gun.
I like their electrode gun. They just stick it in your back, and you're like have to walk, or go wherever they go.
Looks like. Got your guns ready? I'll tell you one thing. If a little green man pops out of me, I'm shooting first and asking questions later.
I like that one. If a little green man pops up, I'm shooting first, asking questions later. That's probably how we would react as Americans to 8 little green men, right?
Got your guns ready? I'll tell you one thing. If a little green man pops out of me, I'm shooting first and asking questions later.
We'll get the rest of these clips out of the way, and I'll give you my rate.
Shall we talk now or wait? Your friends will be here shortly.
What friend?
The end of it, where the narrator tells you the last part of it.
Perhaps on your way home, someone will pass you in the dark, and you will never know it, for they will be from outer space.
And I think we'll leave you that way. That's the last one of the night. But yeah, I have a different rating system here at Bad Cinema. The patron saint of my show, Bad Cinema, is a little guy who was an action star in the Philippines in the early 80s called Wing Wing. we share the same birthday, which is odd. I was also born on September 7th. But we give it a rating of 1 to 5 wings. And we rate bad cinema movies a little differently, right? We don't like nitpick editing errors and continuity errors and problems with the writing and stuff that don't make sense. It's a different level, right? So we go 1 to 5 wings. And I'm going to give it my high score. I'm giving it 5 wings. This is a must classic bad cinema movie. You have to see this movie if you've not seen it. That's my rating, and we got one more comment here. I wonder. They probably did. I mean, it looks kind of cool. I can't show you the trailer because I'm not wired to the internet. But you can watch the trailer. You know, I mean, for back then, I'm sure it was pretty damn cool. I mean, we're kind of spoiled now with like Star Wars, even like in the 80s and 70s with Star Wars, which was an epic jump up in special effects. And now with all the shows we have and all the Marvel and DC movies and all the cool science fiction movies and all the cool Star Trek shows like Strange New Worlds, and all the Star Wars shows like Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Ahsoka. Oh yeah, Ed Wood was definitely like, if it wasn't for Ed Wood, we'd have people like Russ Meyer or Roger Corman or John Waters or a lot of these guys. These guys that just went out there by the seat of their pants and they wanted to make a movie and they made that movie. They didn't need no Hollywood studio to do it. So I think that's what, Ed Wood, he died kind of penniless, which is sad. He was ahead of his time, I guess. He was like one of the first independent filmmakers, right? Let's be serious about it. And, if we all could have that passion about something, I think it'd be pretty lucky. So I think Ed Wood would be, I think, maybe Ed Wood wasn't remembered for what he hoped he'd be remembered for, but he is remembered as a very creative guy who had a passion for films, and he saw it through, and he made those films happen, whether they were high budget, low budget, or whatever. He got them done, so we can't, I can't criticize him for that. So yeah, I give it 5 wings. Easy. But guys, it's been a great show. I thank you guys in the chat for talking with me and give me the comments. I was following along on my phone so I could keep track while I was looking at the Wikipedia and play the video clips. But I appreciate you guys showing up for my show today. And you check out on I have a post here later on the day showing you what next week's bad cinema was. I didn't have time to pick one yet, but I will tell you that tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern, another episode of Comic Conversations, and my special guest will be John's Comics with Friends. And don't forget about my other movie show called Good Cinema. That is Thursdays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern every Thursday. And this week we have a good one. Pulp Fiction, directed by Quentin Tarantino, starring Samuel L. Jackson, John Travolta, Bruce Willis, Uma Thurman, Christopher Walken, Harvey Keitel, Tim Roth, so many people I can't name. So please tune in for that. If you can't get it live, watch the replay. Yeah, and like you said, he had a vision, and he got it done. That is punk rock. That is punk rock, Mark. You're right. And, I'm going to leave you with this, guys. I thank you for watching. And just remember this. Just because it's bad doesn't mean it's not good.
Come, son of Jarrell! Kneel before Zod! Snoochie boochies.